There we go. Alrighty. Hello, everyone. My name is Josh Ellis. I'm the Grants, Awards, and Programs Manager for Creative West, formerly WestAF, if you've heard of us by that name. And welcome to the National Arts Futures Fellowship Applicant Information Session. As a reminder, we're going to have two of these sessions today. We're going to have one right now, and then we have one at 8 p.m. Eastern time too. So if you need to hop off and want to join back in, we also have that session. Or if you're thinking that session might be better time-wise, it's going to be the same exact information. And so we just wanted to split up that just for different time zones, since we have people all the way tuning in from Guam, all the way to Florida. So just to make sure that people can access. And so welcome to National Arts Futures Fellowship. We are so excited to launch this program, and thank you so much for coming to this session to learn more about it. We're going to talk about how we get through GoSmart, that's our application system, our purpose for this fellowship, and just other information, and we'll have time for Q&A. And before we go too far, I want you to share our preamble and shared commitments. So this is a tool that we use in all of our grants, awards, and program sessions at Creative West. It's something we use to bring us to the space with safety and support in mind. And so these commitments just remind us how we ought to move in this space with this time together. I'll just be reading from the shared commitments side. So it reads, we value humility, learning from our mistakes, and asking questions to gain deeper understanding. We feel empowered to hold one another accountable, establish boundaries, and ask each other for help. We lean into discomfort by facing challenges and conflict with openness and grace. We stay present by listening actively, being mindful of body language, and participating to the fullest of our ability. We share from our own experiences and grow as a team through the inclusion of every individual voice. And we prioritize accessibility and are mindful of our language in ensuring belonging for all. So here are just some Zoom norms for today's session. Please keep your microphone muted when not speaking. That's that mic in the far bottom left corner. Please rename yourself to your first name, last name, or your state and your state jurisdiction acronym. You can click on participants or make comments, or you can click on participants, hover over your name and click the more button to change that. I see some people have already done that as well. And thank you all for introducing yourselves too. And to ask questions or make comments, you can use the raise hand function or write your question in the chat at any time. We will have a moment for questions and answers towards the end of the session. So we'll just try to track that. And live transcripts, closed captions are turned on for those that need or want that. So here's our agenda for today. Welcome and introductions. That's what we're going through right now. Then we're going to talk about our program overview. I'm going to give the timeline and application process. Then we'll go through GoSmart, our application system, and then open floor Q&A, and then closing and next steps. Pretty straightforward. So this is a little overview about this program. This is our first year launching the program, and it's in partnership with South Arts. And so this will be a 6-month virtual program. And if any of you are familiar with our National Leaders of Color Fellowship Program, that program we ran for 3 years with all of the United States Regional Arts Organizations. And then before that, it was the Emerging Leaders of Color, which was between Creative West and South Arts again for about 12 years. So that's about 15 years of legacy of the Leaders of Color program. And this program, National Arts Futures Fellowship, builds on that legacy and those values of that program while just still responding to the current political and social realities and just opening the eligibility up. And so this program will still be rooted in democracy, wellness, and belonging, and we'll get more into what that means. And so we're seeking to admit 25 fellows across the Creative West and South Arts regions. Creative West has 16 states and jurisdictions in their region, and South Arts has 9 states. And so, oh, did not mean to go to the next page, sorry. And so fellows will activate a personal action project, and we'll talk more about what that means as well. So here's the purpose of the National Arts Future Fellowship. It's to equip emerging and mid-career leaders to act as civic innovators, to strengthen public life, nurture wellness, foster belonging. You're going to hear those words a lot, and to bridge leadership, learning to real world change. So in talking about democracy, wellness, and belonging, here's what we meant. So for democracy, to us, that means strengthen civic participation and inclusive decision-making. For wellness, care, rest, and healing as leadership strategies. Belonging, spaces where leaders thrive together across differences. And in turn, this will show up in our curriculum throughout the program, which you will see on the right side of the screen. And so we'll dive into culture of care, leadership, belonging and narrative power, strategic visioning and systems thinking, coalition and power building. And so we'll focus on each of these pillars monthly, and then we'll carry them over and reference them throughout the program. And so speaking of how we're doing the curriculum, here's the structure. So it would be monthly 3-hour sessions beginning in late November through April. We have the dates online and I'll show you how to access them. And it will happen 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And these next few bullets just add more elements to what these topics will be talking about monthly. So civic imagination clinics with leadership for democracy, and then wellness-centered growth and practices and so on. So that's just adding a little bit more context to what we're saying. And we'll also have small group coaching and breaking out into smaller groups than that 25 person cohort. And we're doing that for more curated attention and accountability to better activate those personal action plans. And then finally, in the last month, that's this last bullet here, we'll have what we call National Fellow Summit, which is presenting what we've done and what we are carrying forward. And more context on the personal action projects. So each fellow enters with a concrete project to develop and activate. You're also going to be asked about this on the application, so we'll talk about that too. And this will be supported by peers, your coaches, and also guest experts that we bring in for the sessions. And these personal action projects do not have to be grandiose. They don't have to have huge facts and figures. They just need to be a concrete plan that matters to you and within the fellowship's purpose, within your scope, to within your passion and interest. And so here are just some examples of what these personal action projects can be. It can be running for local office or seeking a commission appointment. Or you want to launch a cultural initiative. You can organize a community campaign, and then all of that will culminate in a public presentation at the Fellows Summit. Sorry, that bullet should be indented. So here's the timeline for the application. So application is already open. It opened this Monday. Application will close Sunday, October 5th at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Just stressing Mountain Daylight Time because I know we have some East Coast and other time zones here. So please make sure you're translating that to whatever that means for you. And then we'll have our regional application review October 9 through October 29. We'll have notifications go out the week of Monday, November 3rd. And then we're requesting responses from those notifications by Friday, November 7th. Um, so yeah. And then just some context, the reason why we say Mountain Daylight Time is because Creative West is headquartered in Denver. So we just go by Denver time when we're seeing that. And so for all the sessions, whenever we're releasing communication, you'll see that we always put that time zone in there just to avoid any confusion. And we'll be reviewing applications by region. So if you're in Kentucky or Florida, you'll be reviewed by someone in South Arts. If you're in California or New Mexico, you'll be reviewed by Creative West and so on. And so the regions are obtaining their own application reviewers. There will not be a panel process. People aren't gathering in a room to talk about your application. We're just going to be gathering their scores and their comments, and then each region will be doing further deliberation on their own. Again, we are looking at one fellow per state. So each region will be doing their part on figuring that out. And also we ask that when we send out fellows notification that you promptly respond. We'll probably send an email asking for a response within 48 hours. And this is because each region will be picking alternates. So in that case, if you're selected, but you're unable to participate for whatever reason, then we'll just move on to that alternate candidate. Okay, so let's talk more application process. We just went over the timeline, which is a part of the process. And in addition to seeing that on this website here, you'll also see a bit of the overview and also what will be on the application. So let me pull that up real quick. All right. Did you all see the screen change? Are you all seeing the creative list? Okay, I'm seeing nods. Great. Technology is working today. So this website is creativewestgrants.gosmart.org. Um, Let me type that in the chat too for you all so you can see. And so this site will be how you go to access the application. It will also be where you see additional resources. So once you get to this page, you'll see about the program, application deadline, open, who can apply, um, all that information. And then if you come and scroll up here to additional resources, you'll see the program overview. And so it'll show a little bit of what we've talked about today, a little bit more information. And then if you scroll all the way down, it will show you what's going to be asked for in the application. And so in the application that we're also going to go into today, it's asking for contact information and a short bio. It's going to ask you why this fellowship is right for you. Ask to describe your leadership practice in relation to democracy, wellness, and belonging. Key leadership challenges or questions. Outline your personal action project, and then to upload a work sample. And the parameters on a lot of this will be in the actual application, but this is just a bite size saying of this is what's going to be asked, and there's more details within the application. And then there's going to be high level prompts in there as well, which are these 4 questions. What is the change you want to see in your community? How do you practice leadership rooted in democracy, wellness, or belonging? What challenges or questions are shaping your leadership right now? And whose voices, stories, or perspectives are you centering through your work? So this is all that's being asked in the application. And something to note are these characters that will also be shown once we get in the application. So max 1,500 characters for a lot of these questions. 1,500 characters is only about 250 words. And so that's just something to be mindful about um, when you're completing these questions. And we'll log in and see. So you have this page. Again, if you go back up to additional resources and click curriculum, you'll see more about what we talked about. You'll see the actual dates on when these will occur, so you can compare that with your schedule too. And again, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time on these dates. I'll update that so it'll also say like 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. up there too. But that's how this all can be accessed. And so let's move into the GoSmart application system. Let me start over. So if you're on the creativewest.gosmart.org, creativewestgrants.gosmart.org site, there's a couple of ways you can access the application. If you just scroll down and click apply now, or click here, or click login, so many ways, but probably just scroll down and click apply now. Then it'll take you to this login page. You will have to make an account if you've never applied for any individual artist programs for us before. And so to do that, you'll just come up here to create new account. And it's pretty straightforward. Put in your name, your address, your state, your discipline, your art discipline, and things like that. And then it'll send you an email confirmation. You set up your password, and then you come back here. And so I'm going to log in as an applicant right now. A couple of people just joined a couple of seconds ago. What we're doing right now is we're in our GoSmart system. That's our application system for National Arts Futures Fellowship. And I'm about to log in and take us through the application. So my information's already loaded. So when you log in, there might be another application here. There might be a couple of other applications here, but make sure you scroll down if you need to National Arts Futures Fellowship Cohort 1. You'll also see this banner. So look for that green banner when you log in. And once you log in, this will say start if you haven't started it yet. I've started the application, so it's saying edit, and I'm allowed to edit up until that date. And my status is in progress, but if you haven't started, it'll say status. It won't say a status there because you haven't started. And then also, if you don't want to go into the application just yet, you can view the application without starting it. You can just click application PDF. And then this will be the application broken down into sections. You'll see all the questions. You'll see everything that it's asking for before starting the application. So let's go back. So let's say you're starting the application. This is what it will look like. You have your welcome and overview page. I will just give a little bit more information about how to complete, when it's due, who to reach out to if you have any questions. And we're expecting this to take at least 30 minutes to complete, by the way, when we were talking about all of those questions. So please make sure you're using the save work button. If you want to go in and come back, you're allowed to do that. You can do that. You just have to make sure you click save work. Otherwise, it will not be saved. So we're going to save and next. And please ignore the keyboard smashes. I was just checking if it was taking the characters in there. That is not my name. That is no one's applicant name. But so when you come here, this first page is going to ask for general application information, a brief biography. So applicant name, job title, if you want to put that, your state or jurisdiction, and then your discipline. And then you'll just fill these out. General information, program guidelines and expectations. Again, you can click that from the application. See these character counts here again. And something again to note about these character counts is that if you do go over the character count, um, I'm not remembering correctly right now, but it's either that it'll not let you submit past the character count, or if you keep typing past the character count and you submit, it will stop it right at that count. So I will just see up until 1,000 characters, even if you wrote 2,000 characters. So either way, we won't get the full picture. So just stick to that character count because we won't see it if you write more than that. And then from there, you'll save work or save a next if you're ready to move on. And these pages will take a couple of seconds to load. So if you click save work, wait about 5 to 7 seconds, and then the page should move. And then here are the leadership prompts that we talked about, those 4 questions, those high-level prompts. 1,500 characters. How do you practice leadership rooted in democracy, wellness, or belonging? What challenges or questions? And you'll fill that out as well. And then again, save and next. Wait a couple seconds. And then work sample. So the work samples are required. However, we didn't put the required button on here because just in case you want to submit a file instead of a link upload, if you want to send us a bit.ly, a bit.ly. So you have your options. You don't have to submit both of these. You can submit one of them, but a work sample, one of these options are required. And written responses, if you do submit a document of written response, it shouldn't exceed 2,000 characters. Video or audio responses must not exceed 2 minutes. And then if you have a long link, if you can put it into this bit.ly URL shortener and put that there. And again, for that 2,000 characters and 2 minutes, for our application reviewers, we're also telling them they're not obligated to listen past 2 minutes or read past 2,000 characters because they will be reviewing a lot of applications. So again, if you submit a 5-minute video, it will most likely only be seen up until that 2 minutes, just FYI. And then we have the save and next page again. Also, this table of contents, sorry, I forgot to mention this, but you can click through the application just directly from here instead of just clicking previous and going page by page. You can click here and just go back to the welcome overview, read that again, and then you can come back to the work sample page if you need that. So you're going to save and next when everything's ready to submit. And then you'll get this pop-up message that says, thank you for applying. Have any questions, reach out to grants@wearecreativewest.org. And then once you're ready to submit, it'll ask you, you're ready to submit? You click yes, save and submit. And then your application is submitted and you'll get an email response as well. So that's how it looks like submitting that application. Let's go back to here. That was a GoSmart application. Also, we will be sending this video and this slide deck out. I think we're just posting it on our website. So we'll give you that website link for you to reference as well. And this is more so for the GoSmart system itself. So if you have trouble, like if you forget your password or you need a little help making your account, this is what that will be for, that tutorials playlist. And then you can click there and it'll give you more information about the system itself. But if you have questions about the application, you can reach out to me directly at grants@wearecreativewest.org. And now I want to stop sharing. And we are at 10:30. That's perfect. 10:30 my time. I'm in California. And I want to open the floor for any questions that people may have. No questions? Was it that thorough? Can I get a thumbs up if people are feeling good about?
I have a question.
Okay.
Could you talk a little bit about work samples and what you all are looking for there?
Yeah, let me pull that up.
Thank you.
Making sure I pull up this description so you know exactly what it's going to be saying. I pulled up the application PDF too. Um, and this is going to reflect a little bit how we make the rubric, how we're developing that too. And so the work sample, it can be writing, images, audio, video, whatever you want to submit. Um, that best reflects your approach, values, and vision. And it's a way to just understand your how your practice connects to your leadership. And so with some of our other individual artist um, programs, people have submitted things that are like they're painting and talking about how their ancestral roots connects to how their leadership practices are developed or where they got their leadership practices from, and it's through their ancestors, and that's why they just make sure that they're considering that when they're moving throughout the space, things like that. Or it can be you telling a story through poetry of how or why you have this creative outlet and why that's your leadership practice. So it's really just focusing on you and how you want to present yourself, how you want to present your craft. It's pretty open-ended, and it's more so of a way of us understanding how your practice connects.
That's helpful. Thank you, Josh.
Okay, cool. And I see other questions in the chat. Can you talk more about who mentors, coaches, and programs will be? Yes, so we're actually still gathering some of our mentors and coaches. Some of them will be alumni from our other individual artist programs. Um, we like to make sure that we're including alumni in our mentorship and in our coaching opportunities because they've been through the program. We trust them. And we also know that they are doing many great things in the field. And so, even for this program, too, once people have been through the cohort, we'll be reaching out to them to be mentors and coaches and take us through the program. And that's how we just reinvest in our network and our alumni, too. So, that's some who we're reaching out to for mentors and coaches. We also have people that have been um, faculty for us for the past decade or so now. So we're still reaching out to those people. If you've heard of Salvador Acevedo or David Holland, who also works as director of advocacy alliances and policy at Creative West, Miss Margie Reese as well, we're asking, and so we're still gathering mentors or coaches. We just released a, um, not a press release, but just an email to the network, just inquiring of people that may be interested for that. Um, but it will be people who know what they're talking about. It will be experts in the field and people who are committed to this type of work. See Tambra. I see. I'll read Todd's question and then Tiffany, I'll call on you. So Todd in the chat said, are you focused more on those who work in the arts or artists with professional practices or both? All of the above. All of the above, Tom. You can be an artist, you can be an arts administrator, you can be a cultural practitioner, you can be a community leader, you can be um, not even in the arts sector, but you're just very interested in the arts and you volunteer a lot in the arts. You don't have to identify as a director of some big arts museum. You can do that by all means, yes. But we're just focused on people who are in the arts in some form and have leadership in some form as well. And Tiffany, did you have a question?
I did. Thank you, Josh. And thank you for your time today. I always find these help sessions so insightful, and I just really enjoy when places do this. I kind of have it's like a very open question, and it's almost a question that someone would ask if they had not attended the help session. But what would you say, like casually, someone might get out of this as a leader? Like I see there's so much technical reasoning as to why this would be beneficial, but overall, like what would be the benefit of becoming a fellow?
Absolutely, and thank you for that question. And so the benefit would be when you come with these personal action plans, you'll have a lot of people to activate it. So you'll have your peers who are helping you focus on here and really conceptualize it. And then also, again, we're bringing in these experts in the field to have these group coaching sessions to give you that development and to give you that direction to make this personal action plan happen. And so since we aren't offering a stipend, as you can see for this, the way we're doing it is like sort of bringing in consultants in the field and bringing this network of people together, and then also putting you in our network as alumni too. And so again, going back into that alumni investment, we often call our alumni back for leadership positions. We have a couple of people in so many departments at Creative West that are products, or not products, excuse me, that are alumni of our individual artist programs. And we call them back as application reviewers, as paid application reviewers, as paid consultants. And that's just another turn of, you saying in our network. And yeah, so there's a couple of ways that you all would benefit from being in this program. Again, that's the professional development aspect, is having your plan activated and focused on and developed and given direction, becoming part of our network. So being called back for opportunities, for paid opportunities, for leadership opportunities, and then also just being a part of the wider network. We've seen a lot of people from across the United States get together just because they knew each other from this fellowship, and now they're working together on their own initiative or things like that.
Thank you. That's
Mhm.
great.
See Caleb's question, can you talk a little more about the personal action plan? Is the program focused mostly on civic engagement initiatives? Hmm. Well, Good document. Don't. While I'm pulling this up, the program is focused mostly on civic engagement initiatives. Um, Again, they don't have to be grandiose. They don't have to be large. They can also be more personal civic engagement goals and project plans. And we have a more detailed list. And so essentially you'll have to, I guess the overarching question for the personal action plan is, what is the change you want to see in your community, and how will your personal action plan help create it? And so you'll need to have that sort of like project concept, the intended impact, and why it matters now. And you will receive, again, as I've been saying, you will receive support and coaching to develop the project during the program. And so it's more just centering, yes, civic engagement, but also centering um, how you will be just inserting your leadership style and your practice into it. So it's focused a lot more on you within the scope of civic engagement.
I have a question.
Sure.
When we're looking at the process of this fellowship, how much time do you guys suggest we allocate towards fellowship activities throughout the time?
Great question. We are looking at, I would say, around 6 hours a month. So it'd be about 3 hours for the national sessions, an hour outside for one-on-ones and group coaching and things like that, and then probably another hour for just any other meetings and touch points with your program liaison.
And then additionally, when we're talking about, because beyond the touch points, there's probably also we're developing plans and working towards them.
Correct.
Do you have a sense of the intensity of that, about how much time our mentors are suggesting we spend on doing actually the programmatic implementation or production of whatever we're doing beyond the meeting time?
Yeah, I guess that would really depend on your project and what your coach or mentor is suggesting for that. And all of that will be sort of more fleshed out once you're admitted to the program and once you have this talk with your coach and mentor about how to approach and how to develop this plan. But I'm not I'm not thinking it's going to be more than 10 hours a month. Some people will want to work more than that. Some people will want to work less than that. But there will be some meetings and some working meetings that you're encouraged to do work during those allocated times. So a high number I would recommend is about 10 hours per month. And that's including probably about 5 or so hours of those meetings. see, Rashad Smith, what is unique about Creative West offers that you see? What is unique about what Creative West offers that you see can provide an impact on our current state of the world? Oh, okay. Just a more specific question I haven't said is, what is one change you have noticed with yourself taking a leadership role from this program? Yeah, so we've gotten a lot of feedback from um, our alumni from our other individual artist programs. Again, this is the first time we're launching this program, this National Arts Futures Fellowship. So this cohort will be the inaugural cohort. This is our pilot program too, as well. So in some aspects, we are going to be flying the plane as we're building it, since this is our first time doing this. But in relation to our other programs that we have been having for 15 years, and we've been continuing the legacy of and implementing that into this program, we've seen that this is such a space for affirmation, a space for vulnerability, a space for safety. And so that's what sort of sets this program apart from some of the other programs that I've heard from the alumni, is that we really lean into a culture of care and a culture of rest, and just making sure we're centering the artists, the arts administrator, the cultural practitioner in their own experiences, and speaking from there and making sure those voices are heard. And so some of the things that people have said that's they've taken away from this leadership role from this program is that they know how to be vulnerable, but then also still be practical about how they're navigating leadership, and knowing that it's okay to rest. It's okay to take a pause. Um, and then also it's okay to want to, fight harder or stay up and do all those things. And so that's a lot of the stuff that we lean into and just instill um, for our programs and what people take away. Meredith, yes,
Hi, can you guys hear me?
yes.
Okay, sorry. I'm on my phone, so it's complicated. Um, so yeah, I guess in that vein, I did want to make a comment. I understand this is totally a like a pilot program, so things are getting worked out. I think one of my gut reactions to this is the lack of pay for a fellow. I feel as somebody who represents one of the poorest states in the country, um, having extra time doing extra work, things like that. We are already a state that gets severely underpaid. And so to ask someone to do all this extra work, and not only that, but help, Creative West build this cohort, build these connections, build this environment. Um, I don't like the idea of this program kind of continuing the narrative that unfortunately a lot of us as arts administrators have tried to combat over the years, which is because you're emerging, because you're younger or you're not established, therefore you can be taken advantage of and you don't need payment for your time and effort. And so I hope this feedback, to take back to Creative West, maybe will be something that Creative West can look into in the future if you continue this program. To have people be paid, compensated for their time and effort. Because I think that's really important. And I know it's not, and I'm not trying to attack you personally, Josh. I know you're the messenger. But taking that back, to the group, I think might be valuable.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that too, Meredith. I totally agree. And we're looking at just our realities of our budget too, the political and social climate as well. Full disclaimer, our budget was slashed by about 70% for our department, and then for our organization cut by about 20%. And so we are seeking out funding streams. This, what you said, Meredith, is absolutely on the radar. We've been talking about this because everybody that works in our department is also an artist who's also practiced, who's also performed, who also works as an administrator. So I feel those same sentiments. And since we aren't offering that stipend, that's why we want to just not put so much of a burden of time on these monthly sessions. They can be weekly, they can be like so many more hours, but we're like, no, we need to, just ease up a little bit because like you said, time and money, that matters. People need to eat, people need to pay their bills. And so that's why we're also trying to offer something non-monetary that will still be helpful, which is sort of bringing in these strategic support and bringing in these coaches that you can call on, that you can have one-on-ones for, and this leadership network, and then bringing people back in for these program designs, for these application reviewers, which are paid, but totally understand what you're saying with that. And again, thank you. Thank you for raising that. Any other questions or thoughts? Comments? Welcome to. If there's nothing else, again, just want to thank you all for coming into this session and learning more about the application and sharing your questions and your comments. Thank you. All of this was very valuable. All of this was being recorded and is being saved. I'm going to take some of these questions too and make a frequently asked questions sheet. So thank you for doing that. And for these slides, they will be available, the recording and slides will be available by next week on our website. And I'll also put it on this site, so that creativewestgrants.gosmart.org. I'll put all the information there. If you have any questions, you can reach out to grants@wearecreativewest.org. Let me type that in here as well, grants@wearecreativewest. And again, applications are open. They'll close Sunday, October 5th, 11:59 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And trying to think, what else? That should be it. Thank you again, all. And I hope you have a good rest of your day or evening, wherever you're tuning in from. And I'm excited to read those applications.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.